Hey everyone, Jeremy Shinewald, founder and president of mbaMission here with another one of our video essay analysis pieces. Today we're talking about Chicago Booth for 2019-2020. Fortunately for us, the essay questions are the same as last year. I guess they liked them. How will the Booth MBA help you achieve your immediate and long-term post-MBA career goals, 250-word minimum? And Chicago Booth immerses you in a choice-rich environment. How have your interests, leadership experiences, and other passions influenced the choices in your life? So, just some opening thoughts here. 250-word minimum, that is confusing, right? That's a minimum. Every other school works with a maximum. So that means, obviously, don't give them less than 250 words. Probably tough to answer these in less than 250 words. We suggest about a 500 to 600 word range. If you're at 455, it doesn't mean you're in the wrong, or if you're at 650, it doesn't mean that you can't get in. Probably about 1,000 word max. There's really going 4 times their suggested minimum. 1,000 words is on the higher end of some MBA essays, probably acceptable if you really have a lot to say that's really, truly relevant. But we would do our best to stay under that. Again, our guess being about 500 to 600 words. Let's get to the essays themselves. How will the Booth MBA help you achieve your immediate and long-term post-MBA career goals? 250-word minimum, as we said. This is kind of a classic goal statement. This is a question that a lot of schools ask. It's important that you offer a clear and connected short-term goal. That means connected to where you are today. It doesn't mean you must do what you're doing today, but in terms of skills and interests, you need to reveal a connection. So I can't say, I am a English teacher in a high school, and now I want to go into venture capital. You can't really get there from here. I'm sure there's some precedent somewhere, but it's highly, highly unlikely, and Chicago Booth will say, this person doesn't really understand what is important. I can say I want to go from being a teacher to educational consulting, for example. That would make an awful lot of sense. I'm sure there are other, I can go work for an educational publisher. There are lots of ways to go, but I can't say something where the bridge cannot be built. And then similarly with your long-term goal, does not need to be directly linearly connected to your short-term goal, but there has to be some relationship between your short and long-term goals. If I'm talking about being an educational consultant, I could say that I'm going to go in-house with a publisher. I could say I'm going to talk about starting a charter school in the long run. Again, I couldn't say, now I'm going to go into a quant-rich hedge fund. It just wouldn't make sense. So we need to have some sort of connection. And then, really importantly, a bridge to how Booth can help me get there. How will Booth help you achieve those goals? And you can't just give them trite cliches about the school. You have so many Nobel Prize winners and the flexibility of the curriculum. You can note those things. You're not going to be punished for them, but you need to go, deeper and explain how Chicago Booth, again, that bridge, how you want to get from point A to point C, and Chicago is point B. The Chicago Booth is point B. It's going to provide you with all the skills and resources necessary in order to get there. So a good couple of paragraphs, not a list, but a thoughtful discussion of how they have specific educational resources. And I would even encourage you to go into, some of the cultural resources, so to speak, talking about the environment they have, your knowledge of the way the program functions and how it will allow you to learn best, how you plan to take advantage of the community in order to get where you want to go. So that's their first essay. Their second essay, Chicago Booth immerses you in that choice-rich environment. How have your interests, leadership experiences, and other passions influence the choices in your life? This is, it's a pretty broad opportunity to show kind of a cause and effect relationship between the experiences you've had and who you are today. There are probably a couple different approaches. Maybe you had a clear formative experience. You were obsessed with the outdoors, and you have spent all sorts of time in the woods, from camping to heading the outdoors club to in college to spending every moment of your time hiking, and now you work for Patagonia. That's an example of kind of a linear path. I'm talking about why that interest existed, how it grew, how you determined you make it your professional course. Great. It doesn't need to be that linear, though. You could talk about a variety of inflection points in your life, both positive and negative. You could talk about how, your you had a neurotic entrepreneur in your house and how you never anticipated becoming an entrepreneur. You wanted to stay away from risk, but ultimately you found this great idea and you got there. Or it doesn't need to be professional. You could talk about, again, different volunteer experiences that have shaped your perspective on the world and have become important to you, and that would be just fine. You know, it doesn't need to be kind of like everything led to my professional position in life. You can talk about everything led, you know, I've had a couple of experiences in life that have enabled me to become the person I am and have fostered a variety of different interests, and have made me the you know, intellectual and curious person I am today. And again, you could just offer a few little vignettes that are just pictures of who you are and how they led you to where you are today in a couple of different areas. That would also be fine. I'm trying to give you a sense of a few different approaches. The most important thing is you need to focus on revealing your values. There's no right answer. There isn't one way to do this, obviously. We want to, at the end of this, say, that's who this person is. I understand through these formative experiences that have manifest today, that's who this person is. That's who we're getting in the Chicago booth environment. Simple as that, right? 250 words, maybe 500, 600 words, maximum 1,000, and get those values down. That's a tough thing to do, and that's what we help people do. So a few other resources that are available to you. You can look at our written Chicago Booth MBA essay analysis on our blog. You can check out our Chicago Booth Insider's Guide on our blog. Very detailed, rich research on what Chicago Booth is all about, 100 pages, fantastic guides, great team doing them. And you can also check out, now that I think about, our personal statement guide, which will help you answer the first question on your short and long-term goals and how Booth will help you get there. If you need anything, you can also ask us for a free consultation. We do them, they're free. They're not a sales pitch. They're an opportunity for you to discuss the questions you have. And with that, I will wish you the best of luck with your Chicago Booth essays.